Hi everyone, and welcome to the Knit California podcast. My name is Leslie. I'm a knitter and pattern designer in Southern California, and in today's episode I am going to be talking to you all about my makes from the month of February. So grab something cozy to drink, grab your project to work on, and let's get into it. I woke up a couple days ago a little bit under the weather, so you may be able to hear that in my voice a little bit, but I love talking about knitting, I love talking about my projects, so I'm hoping as we get into this, the energy is going to rise a little bit here, and we're just not really going to notice that at all, okay? I have 3 whips to talk to you about today. I've got some serious spinning to talk to you about. I've got a couple acquisitions. We are going to go over my Yarn Enthusiast journal for February, and I think that's about it. So we've got a lot to cover in today's episode, and I'm really excited about it. I've got Rocky here to support me, and why don't we get into the first project here, my Midland Cardigan. Okay, I'm going a little bit out of order in terms of like when I cast these on. All 3 of the projects that I'm going to talk to you about today, I casted on in the month of February. So if you watched January's like project update podcast, all of the projects I talked about were like finished in January, and then I was like, I'm in a place where I need to start all new projects, and so everything that we're talking about in today's podcast has been started in the month of February, and that's where I am now. I don't have any finished objects. I didn't finish anything this month. Everything that I've cast on is kind of like a long-term project. I do think I will finish at least 2 of these in the month of March. And I am hoping to finish this Midland cardigan very soon. But let me show you this. So this is the Midland cardigan. The pattern is by Penrose. And the yarn that I'm knitting this with, here it is. This is Explorer Knits and Fibers Earthy DK, so it's a 100% non-superwash merino wool in the colorway Barrel Aged Sour. And it's this lovely purple, kind of like reddish purple. It's really, really beautiful. It's a variegated yarn, but on this non-superwash base, the variegation is a lot more subtle than it is on the superwash. And from far away, I think you don't see the variegation as much. So I'm really loving it. It's turning out really nice. Okay, this cardigan. I'm really loving knitting up this cardigan. If you are not familiar with this pattern, it came out very recently, I think right at the end of January. And it's, from my perspective, it's been very popular. I've seen a lot of people knitting this, and for very good reason, because it's a very fun pattern, it's a very interesting pattern. So it's fully knit in garter stitch, so that makes it relatively simple. However, the construction is very different from kind of any other pattern in that it is knit from side to side instead of being knit from like top to bottom or bottom to top. So let me see if I can show you this. I have a couple photos too that I can throw up. You cast on, and I've already seamed this up, but you cast on here at the side, up and down. This whole thing is your cast on, and then you're knitting this way, okay? Both the front and the back at the same time, because you're knitting this whole thing this way. And then you are doing short rows to shape the front here. So this is going to be where the button band is. And then you knit across the whole back. So this is my back panel. And then you have to cast on stitches to get the front panel here on the other side. And you do short rows again. And then you do your bind off here on this side. And then you seam up the side panels on both sides here. So I've got a photo of it kind of all laid out before I had seamed up the side panels, so you could see what it looks like. It's very like interesting, very weird looking, but it was really, really fun to knit this whole body. And now I'm knitting the first sleeve, and I'm actually knitting the sleeve flat as well. So again, it's in garter stitch, so I'm doing every row as a knit row, and then I'm going to seam up the underside of the sleeve here. And on the shoulder seam, there's this nice two knit slip stitch detail, and this continues, if you pick up your stitches correctly, seamlessly down the sleeve here. I did have to pick up my stitches twice to make sure they were picked up correctly, because the first time I did not pick them up correctly. I was reading the instructions and I was like, I don't understand this. And I did my best the first time because I tried. I read it and I was like, I don't really understand, but I'm gonna like try it, do what I think it says. And then I picked them up and then I was like, no, this isn't, you know, things aren't aligning. There's like a weird gap from my body to my sleeve where it looks like there's like two knit stitches and not like garter ridges. So I could tell, and there was a gap in this slip stitch seam. So I was like, I did not pick up in the correct spot. And so I ripped it out and I picked it up again, and then I was like, this looks way better. It's much more seamless now. The garter stitch kind of looks like it just flows out, and this is seamless here along the slip stitch. So I know I picked up this sleeve stitches in the correct spot this time. Oh, okay. That is what I'm trying to say. Okay, anyways, so I am about halfway through the sleeve decreases now. There's like a straight section that you knit, and then the decrease section, and then a ribbing section. And I'm hoping to finish this sleeve today. So my goal, I don't know if I'm going to meet this goal, okay? My goal is to finish this whole cardigan by Friday of this coming week. I think if I hadn't have gotten sick a couple of days ago, I could have done it. But getting sick definitely slowed me down because I just wasn't able to work on it. I didn't have the energy to work on it the last couple of days. But I do think I can finish this sleeve maybe today, and then pick up and do the other sleeve over the next 2 days. And then the real beast is going to be the button band. So I did swatch for the button band. The pattern instructions tell you to specifically swatch. It says to knit a 12-inch swatch. This is probably only 6 or 7 inches, but this is all I had the energy for on Friday night. But I was able to, I think this is long enough that I was able to measure, and you're supposed to get 5 rows per 1 inch, and I am at 6 rows per 1 inch using 4mm needles. So I actually I went on Amazon and purchased 3.75mm needles because I have no idea if I own 3.75mm needles, and if I do, where they are, because they're not in my needle storage case, and Amazon says they were delivered. Perfect. So I can go pick those up and start the button band. They're in my mailbox. So I can go pick those up from my mailbox and start the button band whenever I'm ready to do that. But yeah, that's gonna be a beast because look, you know, you have to pick up all the stitches, and then it's a double knit button band, so it's like you knit 2 rows. That feels like 1 row. So yeah, and then I really need to block the whole thing before I seam up the sleeves, because the sleeves will stretch in blocking, but when I seam it, like that seam won't stretch. So you want to block it before you seam it. That's what I did for the body when I seamed up the body, and that worked really well because my body did grow. So I just feel like I'm running out of time. Oh, and I want to, the whole point of this is because I want to wear it next weekend, because I'm going to be at the Knitting Lounge in Simi Valley all weekend, March 8th and 9th, hanging out with them for Yarn Lovers Appreciation Weekend. So Corinne, the owner from the Knitting Lounge, invited me to come up and be up in the shop all weekend. So we are going to have journals for sale. I'm going to bring all of my patterns, and it's just going to be a really fun time. I'll be knitting away on one of my projects, so I can't wait to be there, and I would love to wear this. That's the whole point. I wanted to wear this while there, but who knows, I might be finishing it up while actually there, so we'll see. Okay, that was the announcement, but I'll also re-announce it at the end of the episode in the announcement section as well. Okay, so this is my Midland cardigan. Yes. Can you see? You probably like can't even see. It looks good though. It looks good so far. Okay, yeah, I'm really liking it. This is gonna be really nice when it's done. Yay! Okay. Okay, so let's talk about my next work in progress, and that is my Palm Springs tank. So yes, I'm currently wearing my second Palm Springs tank that I have knit, and I'm knitting away on a third one. Oh boy. Wow. These ends are just really unwieldy. Okay, here is my third Palm Springs tank that's on the needles. This is a pattern by me that is currently in testing, and I wanted to cast this one on while this was in testing so that I could, you know, knit one up while my testers knit theirs up. And also because I wanted a third one, and also because this one is being knit up in Dusty Yarn Co. in the classic fingering weight base, which is a 100% superwash merino 4-ply, 437 yards per 100 grams, and this colorway is Daylight. So this was based off of Harry Styles' song Daylight. It's this lovely, lovely blue color. And so I wanted I wanted a tank that was knit up in a 100% superwash merino yarn, because this one that I'm wearing is a cotton merino, and the other one that I have, the green one, is a cashmere silk merino, and so this one is going to be my 100% merino. And then I was going to save this for acquisitions, but since we're talking about Palm Springs tanks, I'm going to be knitting a fourth one. Audrey from Dusty Yarn Co. sent me this yarn this week, and let me take this label off and show you up close if you can see this. This is a new summer base that she's going to be carrying called Luxe Alpaca Silk Linen, and it's 50% baby alpaca, 25% silk, 25% linen, 437 yards per 100 grams. So same weight and like yardage and everything as their classic fingering weight base. But yeah, alpaca silk linen. So I'm really excited to try this. Here, let me show you the label if you want to see that. Hopefully, is that focusing? There we go. Yeah, and this is in their Palm Springs colorway Bachelorette. So this is going to be my fourth, and at least for this year, final Palm Springs tank that I'm going to be knitting up. So I've got to get this one, this blue one, going. Once I finish, I'm really focused on my Midland cardigan right now, because I really just like want to have a cardigan to wear, get it done, get it over with, and then I'm going to be full steam ahead on this tank, and then full steam ahead on my the second tank to get these done before the launch of the pattern at the end of April. So, but yeah, let me show you. The construction on this is, you know, relatively simple. So here's the back panel. You cast on here, you knit the back panel, you pick up your straps, you connect them, you knit the front panel, join in the round, and now I'm in the round, and we're knitting the body until the body is done, and then I'm going to pick up and knit the armband and neck hold details when I'm done with the body. So yeah, love it. The test, an update on the test. The test is still going really well. I've had a couple people finish their tanks this week. Incredible. It's been 2 weeks since we started the test. Someone finished it literally in a week, which was crazy to me. But yeah, some people have already finished, some people are starting their second ones already. It's crazy, and it just makes me so happy that everyone, all the feedback I'm getting is that people are loving it. So it makes me feel really, really good. So I'm really happy. And I love it too. I love this pattern so much. So this is my third Palm Springs tank and the progress that I've made so far this month. I cast this on the 16th, I think, February 16th? Yes, February 16th. Okay, so that is that. And then my last whip that I want to talk to you about is my Evermore sock. Here is my Evermore sock. I cast this on February 3rd, so this was actually the first cast on that I did in the month of February. I remember when I was talking to you guys in the last podcast, I was like, I don't know what to cast on, maybe it'll just be a sock. And then when I did the vlog the week after, this was like the main thing that I had cast on, and you saw the progress. of most of the leg, I think, in the vlog. So since then, I did the full heel flap and the gusset. Yeah, you can focus on the sock, please. Thank you. The gusset. And I've stalled out since then because now I have 2 other whips that I am fully focused on. So during like work meetings and stuff, you know, both of these are just like knit, so I can work on either of these during work meetings. And so little Saki has been put to the wayside for now, which is totally fine. I mean, it served its purpose when I didn't know what I wanted to cast on, and it still sits on my desk for when I need it. But the next step is to knit the foot, and I've got like about 50 rounds, I think, of the foot to knit. So once I finish the cardigan, and once I finish the Palm Springs tank, and once I finish my other Palm Springs tank, I don't know, at some point I'll get back to the sock. But it's here for when I need it, for when I need to take a break, and when I just need a small project. If I need to take something on the go, this is what I'll take. I just haven't really needed to work on it very much recently. So, but the pattern that I'm using for this is the I'm So Basic sock by Summerly Knits, and the yarn, this is Evermore from Sewrella yarn. This was from their Taylor Swift collection, and Ashley from Ben Knitter sent me this skein in a little holiday sock set swap that we did. So yeah, I love it. And it is, you can really see it on the camera. It's kind of knitting up in stripes and doing a little pooling here and there. But it's really cute, and obviously I love that it's Taylor Swift themed, because I love Taylor Swift and I love Evermore. It's a great album. So, and I do have another one. Here's my Evermore skein for my Taylor Swift blanket. So yes, okay, that's the update on my Evermore sock. If you had watched the vlog and wanted an update, here it is. Still working away on this sock. Okay, let's move on and talk about my spinning. I have been in a deep spinning mode, which has been so much fun, and I have 2 finished skeins to show you and 1 spinning whip to show you. So if you watched last week's video, this one I already did kind of show you, but this was the first finished skein that I have. This was my January spin. I had dubbed this my January spin. This was an unknown braid of fiber. I had no label on it, so I don't know the dyer, I don't know the breed of fiber, but the colors were beautiful. It was this like purple, blue, pink, green, dyed fiber, and here is the finished skein. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. I'll put the photo up of what the braid looked like before so you can see, and here's the after. And yeah, I think it just looks so gorgeous. This was so much fun for me to spin up. And when I finished this one, I was like, alright, I need to move on to my February spin. Of course I finished this one, and it was already basically like halfway through February, because I started my January spin very much like the last week of January. And I was like, you know, I don't want to like be too basic with my February spin and do something, you know, pink and red and Valentine's Day themed or whatever. But I did have a singles bobbin already spun up on my wheel that had been sitting there since like September. And I figured, I just decided I wanted to get that off my wheel. Like, I had the momentum from starting and finishing this full spin. What I think, I had this like block, I had this spinning block because I like didn't know how I wanted to finish that bobbin that had been sitting on my wheel since September. And I felt like, you know, I needed to do this like one-piece flow with all of my spinning, and I couldn't move forward and do another braid until I figured out how I was going to finish that. And I was talking to Rachel and she was like, Leslie, you have like 5 bobbins, just start and just spin something else. Like, that pink one can just sit there while you spin something else. And I was like, I can't do that. And she was like, yeah, you can. And so, yeah, basically she gave me the permission to spin this one up because I had been, you know, staring at it in my yarn cabinet for so long, and I wanted to spin it because it was really pretty. And so she gave me the permission to do it, and I did it, and it was fine. And then I had the momentum to finish the pink singles that was already spun up and on the bobbin. And at that point, I realized what I wanted to do with it. I had this like fluorescent pink, I think it was Corriedale, from the Woolery, that I wanted to spin up and ply with. What was already on my bobbin was Pink Pony Club from Kira Wiggins. And so I spun up the fluorescent pink and I plied them together, and yeah, here it is. It is absolutely fluorescent pink. Like, this is probably getting super blown out on the camera because it is just so hot pink. But I really love the pops of blues that come through. That's from the Pink Pony Club, and the like magenta also. But yeah, this one is just really, really fun and bright and hot fluorescent pink. So definitely like a different mood from January, from my purple skein. But yeah, these are my 2 finished skeins, and I had a tiny bit of singles left over from the fluorescent pink, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I just wound it off into like this tiny little mini skein. So yeah, I don't know what to do with this, but I don't know, it'll just sit like this until, I don't know, forever maybe. But I'm gonna put these back up here. Oh, and the pink one was weird because I knew I had 2 ounces of the Pink Pony Club that I had spun up. And then I had 4 ounces of the fluorescent pink. And so I split the 4 ounce in half, and I spun up half of it. And then I was plying it all together, and I plied up like half of the Pink Pony Club, and I needed to spin up the rest of the fluorescent pink to be able to ply up all of the Pink Pony Club. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? So obviously I probably spun the Pink Pony Club, I guess, thinner than I spun the fluorescent pink because I needed more of the fluorescent pink. I don't know. Spinning math doesn't make sense. It was very weird. I was like, the ounces here don't add up and don't make sense, but whatever. Okay, moving on to my hybrid February-March spin, because I spun up a whole bobbin in February, but obviously now we're into March. Today's March 2nd, by the way. This is my next spin. So these braids are from Cesium Yarn from their Mamma Mia collection. So this one is called Honey Honey, and this one is called Slipping Through My Fingers. And I'll put up a photo of what Honey Honey looked like in braid form so you can see. You can compare it to what it looks like now, spun up in the singles. I think it looks pretty similar to what it looked like in the braid form, maybe. Anyways, but yeah, my plan is to ply these together. So this is the entire Honey Honey braid. And then I'm going to spin this entire Slipping Through My Fingers braid and then apply them together. And I think it's going to be really, really pretty. So I'm really excited about this. Yeah, so this is, I'm hoping this will be my first March spin. I'm hoping to do another one, at least one more in March, maybe more. I haven't, it's been a few days since I've spun, just because I've been really busy at work and then I've been feeling under the weather, so it's definitely been a few days since I've been able to sit down at my wheel. But yeah, I've been really, really enjoying just like taking the time to sit down and spin in the afternoons, especially like after like a round of like really busy meetings, just to like clear my head and like listen to some podcasts or some like, yeah, knitting podcasts or book podcasts or Taylor Swift podcasts. It's really nice because then I don't have to think about work or anything. I can just watch all these pretty colors, you know, go like this, watch all these pretty colors drift by and listen to the rhythmic noises of a wheel spinning and listen to people talk about Taylor Swift or Onyx Storm. And yeah, that's a nice little happy place right there. So alright, that's the spinning update. Okay, acquisitions. I already showed you Bachelorette. Audrey, oh, by the way, this was gifted to me by Audrey, so thank you, Audrey. And she also dyed up and sent me one more skein of HRH HGH in her classic soft sock base, which is a 90% superwash merino wool, 10% nylon. This is her new fingering weight base. Different from her classic fingering. This is really soft. Ooh. It's really soft. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyways, I asked her for this so that I could add this to my Taylor Swift blanket to represent the Alchemy, because I knit my Alchemy sweater out of this color, the Alchemy Pullover. So this is going to go on my Taylor Swift blanket to represent the Alchemy. I'm really excited. So those are my acquisitions. Announcements. I already mentioned it, but next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, March 8th and 9th, I am going to be at the Knitting Lounge for Yarn Lovers Appreciation Weekend. Also, Katie from Fiction Fiber is going to be there doing a yarn trunk show, and I'm really excited about it. Like I said, we are going to have journals, Yarn Enthusiast journals, and I'm also going to have all of my designs there to showcase in case you would like to see them in person. And yeah, I'll be knitting away, I'm sure. I'll be there to chat. I'll be there to, if you want to take a photo, we can take a photo. If you want help choosing a yarn to knit up any of my patterns or any other patterns, we can chat about that as well. So I'm really excited. If you live in the area or just like in the LA area in general, it could be a fun day trip to head out to Simi Valley. I know it's a little bit farther if you live, well, depending on where you live in the LA area. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a really fun weekend. So, and I know that a bunch of other Central Coast yarn shops are also participating in this Yarn Lovers Weekend. So Roxanne's A Wish and a Dream in Carpinteria, California, the Knit Shop in Santa Barbara, Old Orchid Yarnery in Orchid, California, and Ball and Skein and More in Cambria, California. All 5 of these shops are also participating. That's the announcement. Okay, the last thing, actually, before we talk about the yarn journal, my yarn journal for February, I just wanted to show you my yarn scrap shadow box for the month of February. I was looking back at my video from January just to see how full my shadow box was last month, and I feel like this grew like exponentially. But I think my Midland Cardigan scraps, these purple scraps, there's just a lot of scraps, and it's like non-superwash DK, and so they're just thick and they're taking up a lot of space in here. You can also see, oh no, that's my Palm Springs tank too. That was already in there. There's some fiber in here. Yeah, there's some fiber in there. There were a couple days where I just got mad at my wheel and had to cut some out and throw some in there. But that's okay. We don't need to go too in-depth into that. You can see some blue from my Palm Springs tank 3. And yeah, there's some more fiber in there. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. It definitely looks taller. Only 2 months out of the year. I don't know how the other 10 months are gonna fit in there. It'll definitely compress, but there it is. Wanted to show you. I'm having fun with that. Okay, let's look at the month of February for my 2025 Yarn Enthusiast journal. I got some new stickers in here, a lot of Taylor Swift stickers. TTPD. Yes, I added in a lot of Taylor Swift ones in here. I'm really excited about them. Okay, my project list at a glance. You can see I added in my Evermore Socks, Midland Cardigan, and Palm Springs Tank 3, and the start dates. Okay, my bingo. Okay, I learned something new this month. I learned how to do short rows in garter stitch. I had never done those before, and I learned how to do them in the Midland Cardigan. Laura Penrose, the designer of the Midland Cardigan, linked to a video by Stephen West, and yeah, it's how he does short rows in garter stitch, and they're very, very simple, and I really enjoyed doing them and learning them. So I marked that off here. Even though I haven't finished the Midland Cardigan yet, I am done with the short row sections and I have learned them, so I marked this off here. Also, release a new design. The Alchemy Pullover went live Technically it went live on January 31st, officially went live February 1st. Whoop. I knocked my bobbin off the arm of the chair. So I marked that off. I can't remember if I showed you that in the January podcast episode or not, but it's officially marked off now, okay? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares marked off as of February. Okay. So my February overview and my February snapshot. So I've got all of my projects in here that are ongoing or that I started this month. All the projects that are ongoing are, yeah, everything that I started last October or November, and that I, like, haven't really... I've thought about them. I was gonna say that I haven't really thought about, but I've thought about them. But definitely haven't worked on at all this month. And then all of my new projects, stuff in my queue, and you can see some of the stuff in my queue did get cast on this month. One project finished, my mini mock neck tank that I finished right at the beginning of February, that I did talk about in last month's episode, in the January episode, so that's why we didn't talk about it in this month's episode. My yarn stash, in and out, I've got some yarn out and some yarn in. So let's see, everything that was out was what I used in projects. So my Evermore sock set, 6 skeins of the barrel aged sour non-superwash for the Midland cardigan, and then 2 skeins of the Dusty Yarn Co. Daylight for my tank top. Obviously this one is still in skein form, but I write it down in my journal as -2 when I start the project, because I know I am going to need the second skein, so that's how I count it. And then oh, I didn't show you this. Okay, I purchased this self-striping sock skein from Kimber's Cozy Creations. This is on her Tough DK base, a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 245 yards per 100 grams. It was a one-of-a-kind sock set. She dyed up 7 of these one-of-a-kind self-striping sock sets, and they were on her website for a couple days. And I was like, I thought for sure they would sell out immediately. And when I went to look, I was going to post my affiliate link, and I was like, okay, if the one that I really liked is still there, I'm gonna get it. And it was still there, so I purchased it. And then I posted my link after I bought it. So anyways, I got that one in. And then the other 3 skeins that came in were what I showed you before. The Dusty Yarn Co. for my Palm Springs tank and for my Alchemy. Okay. I'm not gonna go in depth, but here's my weekly snapshot. So again, well, actually I think this month I might have used the weekly snapshot a little bit differently. I did write down, I guess, like everything that I could have done during the week for like each of my 3 projects. Like, okay, let's take this last week for example. I don't know if I can show you this and talk to you about it at the same time, but so this last week I wrote down Midland cardigan. I need to seam, I need to do the hem, sleeve 1, sleeve 2, and the button band swatch. Like, okay, and then I also wrote down Evermore socks, foot and toe, Palm Springs Tank 3 body, and my Mamma Mia fiber, braid 1, braid 2, and ply. Now, I knew when I wrote that down, there was no way that I was going to complete all of those things, but I was okay with that, and I knew that I would get some of those things done, but I wanted to write all of it down so that I could kind of see where I was at with each project and like know the next sections for each project, if that makes sense. So that was kind of the planning mood that I was in this month and how I wanted to like track things this month. So what I checked off for this week: for the Midland cardigan, I seamed up the body, so check that off. I did the hem, check that off, and I did the button band swatch, check that off. I'm still in the middle of sleeve 1, so I'm not going to check that off. That is going to come with me into the next week, and I will continue working on sleeve 1. I did not work on the Evermore Socks foot or toe. I worked a little bit on the body, but this is a very like vague goal, just body, and like I knew I wasn't gonna finish the body, so I'm not even gonna check this one off. Like I knew I wasn't going to finish the body, I just knew I was working on the body, so that is what it is. And then Mamma Mia fiber, I checked off braid 1 because I did finish that this week. So the rest of these that did not get checked off will move to the next month, the next week, which is going to be March, week 1 of March. So, okay. And then knitwear tracker. So you can see I filled this out. There were 4 days of the month that I did not wear my knits. So total number of days I wore knits was 24 days. Total number of instances was 32 days. My highest worn knit was my stripe hype. I wore 6 times. My Alchemy sweater I wore 4 times. My clove sweater I wore 4 times. My Farnham I wore 3 times, and socks I wore 13 times. And there were a couple others that I wore 1 time. And then I have some like notes and stuff on here. You may be wondering why I pasted this in here, and it's because I taped in a whole label, a yarn label on this page, and then had to rip it out, because this was not the page that it was supposed to be taped in on. It was supposed to be taped in on the project page, and this was not the project page. So I just covered it up with this pretty notepad paper. So anyways, that is my February update for the yarn journal. Let's see. I did add project pages in here for my Palm Springs tank 2, my Evermore socks, my Midland cardigan is in here, and my Palm Springs tank 3, and let's see. Yeah, that is pretty much it for the Yarn Enthusiast journal. As a reminder, Yarn Enthusiast journals, I designed these. They are available on my website, knitcalifornia.com. Link is in the description box down below. The 2025 versions are still available on the website. They are dated with the months January through December. There is also an undated version where you can write in whatever month it currently is. The undated version does not have as many of the kind of yearly spreads in the front, so like it does not have the goals page or the bingo, but if you want to like add that in, there's note pages in the back that you could add something like that in yourself, and that's what I have suggested to a couple people who have messaged me about it. So yeah, okay. I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way through, bearing with me with my voice sounding the way it is. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot. And I will see you on the next one. Bye!